right, we're ready for another. This will be the fourth episode of In Focus Marketing Sessions, brought to you by 142 Productions. Thank you guys for coming. And if you've never watched the show, In Focus Marketing Sessions is a live show that we do on Facebook where we sit down every month with marketing professionals from the Space Coast. And I mean, I'm talking like all facets of marketing: print, TV, PR, anything that has the word marketing, we do it. My name is Duncan Moore. I'm from 142 Productions. Our tool in the toolbox of marketing is video marketing. TV commercials, web videos, social media videos are a big thing right now, and live videos as well. And today we're joined here with Diana. I'm going to let you introduce yourself, Diana.
Good morning. My name is Diana VanDeMark. I'm the CEO of Business Recharge, a business consulting company. Basically, we work with business owners and business professionals to give them time back in their day. We understand that there are projects that are sitting on their desk or in their office that are perhaps collecting dust. They could be projects that could help you build operational efficiencies or really look at your advertising and try to maximize your advertising. And we want to get those projects done for you. So we basically come in and talk to you, and we'll do reviews of your existing marketing, build you a marketing plan if you don't have one. If you want to do a video and don't have time to manage it, we'll work with companies like you and other marketing agencies to get those projects done. We'll review other operations or sales funnels, do competitive landscape reviews, do secret shops, so you can see what your
shops,
so
that's fun.
we can give you some feedback on what your consumers are experiencing, on your end. But really, at the end of the day, it's helping you grow your business, build efficiencies in your operations, and giving you time back in your day, really maximizing your time. That's what we want to help you with.
That's awesome. I mean, if you go in the next room, you'll see the desk, and we got piles of stuff like that.
We all do.
and as a small business owner, honestly, I didn't even know something like this was an option. I just thought like I had to do it and make time for it, and
Right.
I'd never have time for it. So to know that there's help out there to help you get those projects going and producing is a great thing.
No, definitely. I mean, we all have those projects, and, we're focused on our customers. We're focused on getting their projects done, and so then our projects kind of sit off to the side. So I am hoping that I can be that resource for anyone that would like it.
That's great. And I know that Business Recharge is a young company for
Yes.
you, but you got some history to you in the marketing world.
Yes.
What have you been up to in your marketing career?
I've been in Brevard County for about 10 years now. I've spent the last 5 years as a director of marketing at Wusthof Health System. Wonderful organization. And, before that, I worked for a products company, very exciting. They produced pesticides, really the first products that Terminix ever had. So I was working on that project. I worked on the marketing side and the operations side, and the sales side. So it really kind of helped me develop all those skills. So that's, brief history on me.
Great. That's some great experience, especially like with Wusthof too. I mean, that's a big organization.
Yes.
To get all that together and organize and the message across, that's no small feat.
A lot of moving pieces, but
Definitely.
always exciting, always something to work on. So
Well, that's great that you're putting all that experience to use to help the rest of us.
definitely.
Well, and today you're going to be helping us with the subject today is making the most of your marketing dollars. Now that's a big one, because as a small business owner and other business owners that we've talked to, sometimes that question isn't clear on what I'm supposed to be doing with
Right.
marketing. You hear a lot of things going on out there, like social media, TV, newspapers, billboards. Should I be doing it? Should I not be doing it?
Lots of ways to get your message across.
And how should I be spending? How much should I be spending? I
Right.
think is the biggest thing. Because a lot of companies don't have a marketing budget. Like, they don't even put it into the equation.
Right.
So to know that that's got to be out there, you have to let people be aware that you're there,
Right.
more than just hanging up your shingle.
Right. As easy as that is.
I know.
It would be great if we only had to do that, definitely.
Definitely. And before we get into it, for you guys that are watching, if you got any questions for me or Diana about any of this stuff, put them in the comments below, and we'll get them and we'll address them during the show. So be sure to submit that, and let's get underway.
Okay, sounds great.
So this is so important.
Yes, very, very important.
Normally the call to action comes at the end, but I'm glad we're getting to it at the beginning, because that is one of the most important things. Like, after they watch your video or read your ad or listen to you on the radio or
Right.
wherever, what are they supposed to do next? That's the most important part.
Right.
So what can you talk about for call to actions?
So really, it needs to be centered on what your company is trying to accomplish. Everybody's company is at a different stage. I'm just starting, you're more established. What are your specific goals? What are you trying to grow? What are you trying to sell? So, you want to make sure that, like you just said, that needs to come across in everything that you do, and it should change over time. If you're a products company, and you are, you have a product you've been selling over the last couple of years, but you have a new product, and your advertising should really focus on that new product. So establishing what your company wants to accomplish, number one, right, because that's what needs to be your first rule. The second rule is, really, how are you going to, relay that to the consumer? Really, every consumer has a problem or an issue at some way, shape, or form. How does your business address that problem or issue?
Yeah, that's, I mean, as far as call to actions go, I mean, everybody wants to just talk to everybody and try to sell everything they have in one go. But I think it should be a little bit more focused, right?
Right, absolutely. If I've worked with some companies where, they have three things really that they want to sell. But, let's be honest, we all have a very limited attention span. I feel like it gets shorter every day. We're bombarded with a lot of information.
Definitely.
You look at if you have Google email, for example, you have three different tabs now. One's promotions, one's your social networks, one's your other emails, so they recognize the fact that things are segmented. We're a very segmented marketing, society now. So we need to make sure that we have really a single message, because that's what's the one thing that you want them to remember? Because I think if you do more than two or three, I mean, it's really, you're going to get lost. Your message is going to get muddled, so you're not going to accomplish your goal, basically.
And what do you think as far as like how, I know we're talking about focused call to actions, but I'm talking about like maybe not having so many call to actions. Like don't say go to our website and call now and come here and everything. How like broad or focused should it be? Like we use a lot. Well, before I get into that, it should be we use call us for a free 30-minute consultation. And do you think that's focused enough, or is that too broad, or is that should it be tighter?
No, I think that's a really good call to action, because the first thing is that when you think about video, and you and I have talked about this, people think, oh my gosh, it's got to be really expensive, and I think it's really affordable, especially nowadays, and so to provide that free consultation, you're not making a commitment. You and I are going to sit down. I'm going to tell you more or less what I want to accomplish, and then I can choose, you can give me an estimate. I can choose to move forward, or, to wait maybe for a different time. So I really think that's a great approach.
Okay. Yeah. What would you say? I'm going to put you on the spot. What's the call to action that you use for Business Recharge?
I use a very similar call to action, because for consultants, they also can be perceived to be very expensive, and, my focus is on small businesses and medium-sized businesses. My rates, have a range. I believe they're affordable, and I want to give you a consultation, because if maybe you are trying to accomplish something that I can't help you with, I want to refer you to someone that can help you with that. And again, there's no commitment. I'll give you a proposal. You can choose to move forward with it, or you can choose to put it in the parking lot for a while.
Right. And let's throw out a business type out there, like a restaurant or something. Do you think it's beneficial to just say, instead of saying come on down, to maybe have a special or something that pushes it, like free appetizers on Tuesday or something like that, to put up that little bit of money, to give to get them to come in? Do you think that's an incentive enough?
I think it just depends. I think it really depends. For example, maybe you're an established restaurant, but you have changed your menu. You have a new menu item that maybe nobody else in your area provides. I would not necessarily provide a discount on that, but I would maybe focus that in the advertising. There's a lot of ways to do that now, relatively inexpensively. Instagram, for example, is kind of about what your day-to-day experience is. Maybe you can take a picture of that and kind of get the conversation started. Again, it doesn't have to be expensive, but it should be clear about what you're trying to do. Hey, come try this, new hamburger or whatever it is.
Right. It's making me hungry.
Yes. Let's not talk about food anymore.
So if you're just joining in, you're watching In Focus Marketing Sessions, where we sit down every month with local marketing specialists and professionals from the Space Coast. My name's Duncan Moore from 142 Productions, and we're joined today with Diana VanDeMark from Business Recharge. And today we are talking about making the most of your marketing dollars. Again, if you got any questions or anything that you want to pose, put them in the comments and we'll get them on there. And also, if there's anyone out there that you think would benefit from this information, hit that share button, all right? Going on to the next subject, we're talking about defining your target market. And that's a big thing because I think we mentioned it a little bit before, but everybody wants to just sell to everybody. Everybody come in.
Right.
So how do you define a target market?
Well, it's a very, very important part of your process. Because like you said, yes, definitely there are, restaurants are a good example of that. Car dealerships are another good example where you kind of hit a very, very broad demographic of people that are coming in. They're younger, they're older, they're, married, single. So, but your specific goal, has to be tied to that specific market. So what does that look like? And it can be very overwhelming, but don't let it overwhelm you. Let's just be very specific about what you're doing. If you're selling, a lower end car, for example, an entry level car, that's going to be a very specific demographic. Maybe it's, a single, person that, are ages 18 to 25 and, what is that? So just quickly kind of write down some notes about what you know about your market, because really at the end of the day, you're interacting with them every day. You know them best. Are they younger? Are they older? Are they married? Maybe you're a restaurant that it caters to families. So you really need to understand that because that really needs to drive where you put your advertising. Facebook obviously is everywhere at this point.
Right.
Most demographics are going to look at it at, at some level, some more than others. But, does that make sense for your business? And Instagram is the same example, some, that may not make sense for a specific demographic, but it will for maybe a younger demographic.
Right.
So just understanding who they are, understanding how they get their information, very, very important, because then you're not going to waste your dollars on an avenue or an outlet that isn't going to work for you. I think, the newspaper is a good example of that. We generally understand that newspapers are still well read by the older demographic,
Right.
not necessarily by the younger demographic. But the other thing that I think is maybe a misconception is that the older demographic doesn't really use digital. That's
Right.
really not correct. They use Facebook a lot. They
Yeah,
are more
their
savvy.
numbers are-
They're
up.
more savvy than we give them credit for. And so not spending advertising dollars in digital for the older demographic would be a mistake. So you want to make sure that you have a good understanding of the target market, based on what your product or service is.
Excellent. Excellent. I had a question that I was thinking of while you were talking and it's gone.
It'll come back.
It'll come back for sure. But it was to do along the lines of the targeting demographics as far as I think the best thing that you can do, let's go back to the restaurant example. I think a good way for you to see who your market is to just see who's walking through your door.
Right.
If you're lucky enough to have a brick and mortar.
Right.
Or if
Or who's visiting you.
Exactly.
On your website or your.
So I think that's a great way to just see who your audience is. And yeah, you might want, if you have a lot of older people come in, you want younger people, don't forget about those. Those are your, that's your market. So talk to them as much as you can while trying to reach out to others a little bit.
Yeah, it's like having your focus group right there, basically.
Pretty much.
Absolutely. You start interacting with your customers and your consumers, then you really start understanding, who they are. And if you're trying to get more of that group, then, you're going to understand where they're consuming their information.
And I think that too to find out where they're from and everything will definitely help with when you go to do your marketing plan, because there's a lot of different avenues. If you're a company that services all over the county, TV might be something for you because that's how far it reaches.
Right.
But if you're a little restaurant that, people aren't going to drive a long way for, they have to drive by 50 other restaurants to get there, you might want to consider pulling it a little tighter. And TV might be too big of a reach and too expensive for your budget. So that's when social media comes into play because you can
Correct.
really focus in on how big that circle is of people that you're trying to reach. So I think that's a great way to sort of figure out who it is you need to talk to and how to talk to them.
Right, and that's exactly right, because, excuse me, if you don't have a big, or even if you have a large marketing budget, you really don't want to reduce waste as much as possible. So the smaller, the tighter that profile is, then the better your dollars are going to reach the people that are more receptive to what you're selling, to your services. Because at the end of the day, you want to spend your money where you're going to get the business from, and if you know that there's a group that is probably never going to look at your service or your product, then you want to save those dollars and spend them on the market that will likely is the most likely to buy from you.
Right. Perfect. All right, so those of you that are just tuning in, you're watching In Focus Marketing Sessions, where we sit down every month with marketing professionals from the Space Coast. My name is Duncan Moore from 142 Productions, and we're joined today with Diana from Business Recharge. And today we are talking about making the most of your marketing dollars. Now, the last subject of today is going to be tailoring your market and measuring your results.
Correct.
Which measuring results, I think maybe recently, maybe ever, I don't know. It seems like measuring has sort of fell by the wayside. Like it's like people don't look at, is this working or not,
Right. No, and again, I think that's a function of just the amount of time that we have to do something. I think that unfortunately, we fall in the trap of like, let's do all of these things. And, for example, we could have 1,000 Facebook likes, but if you don't finish that review and go, well, I got 1,000 Facebook likes, but did I get any sales out of that?
Exactly.
Then you really don't know how well your advertising is working, and, it's such an important part of, your marketing is, number one, setting your goal, right, specific to your company, understanding your market so that you're focusing your dollars on that market that's most receptive to your, to your product or service. But then at the back end, you need to make sure that where you're focusing where you ended up putting your dollars, what buckets is working, because you may, for example, find that, Facebook is not necessarily working as well for you as you would have thought. Then you're going to shift your dollars over to, where, let's say it's radio or what have you, that actually did get people in the door or go to your website, whatever that goal is, make sure that it is a measurable goal, that you have, what does success look like to you? If it's selling the rest of your inventory of the 2016 sedans, it's going to be easy, right? Because you're going to be like, okay, I focus my marketing on that. Now, I don't have 100 cars left, I have 5.
Right.
So it worked.
Right.
And that's the other thing is that you want to make sure that you're looking at it midstream. You're not, you're not necessarily waiting till, the end of your 90-day campaign, if that's what it is.
Right.
You want to kind of look, sometimes you can look every day depending on what it is that you're doing. If you have a advertising campaign that's mostly digital, then, you can shift that so quickly, in favor of more or less, depending on what you're doing.
And I think a lot of people do that because it's so easy now in digital market to shift quickly.
Correct.
You don't have to sit on a campaign for 6 months and
Absolutely.
hope it works. You can see instantly, and that's so important to check out your analytics, see if they're coming, see if they're bouncing. Make sure that they're engaged, and then tie that data to, is your phone ringing? Are people showing up? That ROI is the most important part of any marketing. I mean, that's the result that we're looking for.
Yeah, your dollars are valuable. Your advertising dollars are valuable whether you have a very, very large budget or a very small budget. You want to make sure that you're spending them and getting a result because, everything that you're doing is focused on growing your business. And if it's not accomplishing that goal, if that success level is not there, then, relook at it and make sure that, you've given it the amount of time, because some of these things do take time. Some of them are not overnight, as much as we would all like them to be.
Yeah.
Give them the appropriate amount of time and watch them and review them so that you do know whether or not, they are working. So you can continue to do or change.
And I think some of the great ways to measure your results is to do things like A/B testing.
Right.
To have two similar different avenues to go with the
Right.
campaign with little differences and send them in different places.
Correct.
And then you see which one comes back, And a lot of, especially on digital, like any email campaigns you do, most of the places that put that out for you
Right.
have A/B testing built in where you can try different
Yes.
headlines and everything. And it's really important to see what works because you can see what inspires them to want to learn more.
And what's great, like you said, is that with digital, you can do that so easily. You can just build that into your campaign, basically. But you can also do that, with other, in other things. Like if you're a restaurant, for example, you can have two different styles of menus. You can see if one is going to work better than the other.
Yeah.
You can split it in half for a day or whatever.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of different ways to do that, definitely. But if you can test and use your, if you happen to have bricks and mortar, and you can test in-house for those things, it's like having your personal focus group. Definitely take advantage of those opportunities to interact with your consumer.
Oh, yeah. And, one thing that we used to do in TV when, we made a lot of TV commercials, and we were sending it out to a region, you do the
Right.
thing where you'd have different phone numbers for
Yes,
each region.
absolutely right.
And, that was great because you could really see where it was coming from.
Right.
And,
And somebody is looking at that, when you're doing those types of things, and somebody's looking at that data, which is so important.
And how effective do you think it is when you want to see where they're coming from and you're like, come to my website, 142 Productions, that you don't know where that's coming from necessarily because you just threw it out there and
Right.
it's going to be a direct thing and
Right.
you don't know. But a lot of times the strategy is to go to 142productions.com/promo or whatever.
right.
And it sends them to a landing page. That way you can actually see if people are coming. Do you think that tactic is still effective or are people just not typing that stuff in?
I think that, without having any research on that and knowing for a fact whether or not they do it, my gut would tell me that they may not necessarily type it in. But if they can click on it,
They can click on it, right.
I
I think that's how it's shifting.
right. And
you know?
so, because really and truly, if you think about it in your personal day-to-day stuff, would you type it out?
Right.
Maybe
Right.
I probably would not.
Yeah.
Unless it was
Me
something
neither.
that I knew that I really needed right away. If it's solving a problem that I needed, then I might do it. But I think generally that probably works best when it's one step to get to the next level.
Right. So if you got like a social media campaign on Facebook or what have you,
Right.
try it out there. Create a separate landing page that, it goes to that. And that way
Correct.
you can check your analytics, see if it's getting
Right.
anything or not. And that's measurable results, which is really, really important.
Yeah, and it goes back to your point. If you're testing two different things, you're going to easily see, they may be even.
Yeah,
they may be
they
even.
might not care about your variables that you put in.
Right. It may be so subtle to them that, it's not, sometimes it's an image, not necessarily the call to action may be the same, but the image might be different, We're a very visual society too, in addition to having a limited attention span, we are very visual. And sometimes when the image is image and more appealing, then you're going to get more clicks on one than the other, and again, that works for print and, something that maybe people don't think about anymore is sales collateral too. That's something that people think, well, do we use that? Well, we do still use that kind of stuff. So
And that's-
signage and those types of things are very important.
And I think a lot of people, they forget that marketing is, it's part of the funnel.
Right.
Marketing
It's a
is,
piece of that
Yeah.
plan,
it's
right?
supposed to be leading them to your sales team.
Right.
So, it's not supposed to do all the work. They're not supposed to be frothing to buy after they see. They're wanting to learn more, so don't try to do everything at once, I guess is the thing.
Yeah, and that goes back to what we were talking about is maybe putting too much in your ad, you know, is that you do want to give them a taste, you know, sometimes because, yeah, you may offer 10 products or 10 services, but, you know, what is that one that's going to get them to come to you and then maybe explore a little bit, you know, on your site or wherever you're driving them because, you know, they're not going to, if you put 3 or more things on there, it's just probably going to get lost. You know, what is that one thing? And again, going back to what your goal is as a company, going back to what problem or issue can you solve for them? Because, you know, that's kind of what, you know, what's going to get them to get to you and however form you want it to come, you know, digital or actually walk into your store or your restaurant. You know, you do want to make sure that you understand, you know, what is going to get to them. And that's the one thing that you should focus on is what are they really going to focus in on for your business?
I think this is maybe sort of off topic, but maybe you have experience with it. And that's going along the lines of focus groups. Have you ever, in your experience, used focus groups to
Yes.
see if a campaign works or not, what they think of it, you know? How effective are those results for you? How much do you act on the results that you're given?
You know, it's so interesting because I have definitely used them in the past. Generally before we launch a campaign, not necessarily afterwards. But, you know, sometimes there's residual, you know, feedback that you get just, you know, from, you know, having been in the market for a long time. If you're an established company, you might get some residual feedback on, you know, things that you've done in the past. You know, some things, you know, are spot on. And you kind of verify, you know, focus groups just verify what you know. You know, a lot of times they do. Other times you're surprised, and you know, you get a lot of insight. You know, especially when you're having a conversation, it's not necessarily, you know, all very specific questions. When things come out in conversations that you maybe necessarily couldn't pick up on, you know, in your world as a marketer. You know, so very insightful, very useful. You know, and again, you know, they can be very expensive if you do it professionally.
Right.
But again, if you are, you know, have the benefit of, you know, maybe having a blog or having a bricks and mortar store, you know, you kind of get the benefit of that focus group without necessarily going through the expense of hiring somebody to do that. But there's definitely benefits to working with a focus group.
Now, I'm not sure, but is that something Business Recharge could help a company
Definitely,
with? Yeah?
absolutely can. Yes.
I'll remember that.
Okay. Good to know.
All right, so that pretty much wraps it up for the show today, and we had some great advice in there. If you have any comments, you know, afterwards, you know, leave them in the comments, and we'll get to them afterwards and answer those for you. If you wanted to learn anything more about what we do here at 142 Productions as far as video marketing goes, all the new things that are happening, live streaming, 3D video, VR video, things like that. Check us out at 142productions.com. We do this show and we also have a video marketing tip. So if you're looking for good information on how to use video to help your business, check us out and give us a call if you want a free consultation. Diane, if they want to get a hold of you, what's the best way?
Yep, definitely. You can email me at diana@businessrecharge.net, or you can call me at 321-394-8542. And again, you know, I offer a free consultation, you know, and I would certainly like to help you if I can take some projects off your desk and get them done and give you back some time and help you grow your business.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you, Duncan.
It was great information. You did great. I mean, I was like, well, this is too much. My mind would stop sometimes. It's like, this is a lot of information.
It is a lot of information, I know.
And I know we could probably go on for hours, but thank you again so much for coming.
Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
And,
Had fun.
We'll see you guys next month on In Focus Marketing Sessions.